When you're good at a lot of things, when things come easily to you, sometimes the hardest part of life isn't the doing, it's deciding where to put your energy. A lot of high achievers feel stuck, not because they lack talent or discipline, but because they've been taught to follow one narrow path and never stop to ask, is there another way to get closer to what I love? Hi, and welcome to Good Talk with Tiffany Santana, where we have good talk with great people who help us live our best lives. Today's conversation is for anyone who feels frustrated, restless, or in transition. And you know you're capable of more, but you're trying to figure out what more actually looks like. I'm sitting down with my friend Greggy Amisial, Chief Activating Officer and co-founder of Activating You. Greggy helps high performers move from knowing exactly what to do to actually doing it consistently. We talk about what it really means to be the best in the world at something, why opening your aperture can change everything, and how habits, priorities, and momentum shape the life you're building, whether you realize it or not. This one is practical, it is motivating, and it is freeing. You will want to download the Good Talk Takeaway Guide with this one. So check it out in the description. Let's get into it. Hey, Greggy, I'm Zial.
Amisial. There you go.
Oh, my brother, it's so good to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Oh, this is exciting. This is exciting. You are somebody who I am following as a fan, but also as somebody who's trying to learn. I'm seeing what you're doing. I'm trying to, take those things into my practice as well. And you're somebody who I'm cheering for, like I said, as a fan. So I'm watching you do things, and as I see you make moves, I'm very excited for you. I saw you recently, huh? Got your award, right? For right? That's right.
I
Um,
did. I
and you
did. My
shared that on
Freedom
Insta.
Award.
That's it, man. And that Freedom Award is a big one. So I was excited for you as you got it. I know I recently got mine. So we coming in after these milestones one after another. So it's awesome to see you
That's
hitting
so
those
good.
milestones.
I love it. I love it. I'm so glad that you're here because I feel like my audience needs to know you. Whenever we speak, whenever we're around each other, you're just one of those people that instantly elevates the room with your positivity, with your just the way you are. And you really are walking motivation. And so I really want to make sure that we talk through some things to help people who are watching and listening, because many of us are in seasons where we're feeling stuck or where we are transitioning and trying to figure out what to do next. And because you work with high achievers, because you work with people who really are trying to get back into the swing of their things and move forward, I felt like you were the person to talk to. So I just want to jump in. One of the things that we talked about not too long ago
Hmm.
was that you feel like anyone can be the best in the world at anything they're passionate about if they're willing to open their aperture, which I
Yeah.
love that phraseology. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I think wow. When I think about that now, I'm like, anybody could be the best in the world. I think being the best in the world at something is a feeling that everyone should have. Like, if there's a chance that you could say, I feel like I'm the best in the world at something. If that's making your grandma spaghetti, if you're the best maker of grandma spaghetti in the world, that's a good feeling to have. That you got this one thing. Um, that isn't coming from arrogance. I don't want that to sound like an arrogant thing, but I had the blessed opportunity to be one of the best in the world. I was on a step team called the Dem Boy Step Team, and in the early 2000s, aging myself right there, my brothers and I from Phi Beta Sigma, we toured the country and a little bit of the world stepping, and we were the best to do it at that time. The formula for how we got there, though, for me, is something that I've studied over and over and over again. And the reason why I've studied is if I could do it once, then if I could break that down and understand it, then I can do it again. It's been a confidence builder for me to understand if you can be the best one time, then there's a formula in there that you can repeat. what happened for us as that step team, we came together, a bunch of young creative guys who were excited about something. So we were able to choose something that was important to us. And not just in word. We didn't say we like stepping. That wasn't how it came together. It became we ate, slept, breathed, dreamed, step. It was what we were all about. I remember we practiced for our first show and we actually got second place. And we were frustrated by this second place. This is our first time stepping together. These arrogant kids went to the back lot of this show, right to the parking lot of the show, and we found a trash can and we smashed the second place trophy. Like
My
we're not
goodness.
we're not built for second place, right? That wasn't the thing for us. After that, at that moment, second place didn't matter. It was only about those wins. So what did that mean for us? That meant Tuesday night after class, we were stepping. Wednesday night after class, we were stepping. Thursday night after class, we were stepping. Friday, driving to a show to go kick some tail, win. Saturday, if there was another one, we're gonna do it again. We come back Sunday, recoup. Guess what? So that Tuesday night, we'd be right back in there after class stepping. That repetitive nature of building a habit of finding ways to get better, to be in this thing that we said was our priority, not just in word but in action, is part of that process. So understanding that if I could do it once, I could do it again, and that should be something that I think um, if you've ever found a moment where you feel that free or that excited about something, then pouring into it is the thing that feeds you in that moment. And that was a lot of what was feeding us. It wasn't the trophies, but it was the opportunity to share our gift with the world and really feel like we was killing this thing. And we had proof, right? The trophies that we left with told people, hey, they them. That's why we called ourselves them boys. Oh, here we go. Them boys is coming through. That was some time ago, but I look at that formula consistently to say the things that I'm feel out of my priority right now, how do I tap into that thing so that I could be that version of myself over and over again?
Love that. One of the things that you shared with me before was the first go round, you weren't even able to go compete, and
Oh
that flipped
man.
a switch for you. Can
Oh
you
man.
tell me about that? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes, I can. Oddly enough, this past weekend, I was with my two high school buddies, and they were both better than me at stepping at the time when we first got introduced to step. And I was always this way, actually. I was slow to pick up the moves, and that is tough. Stepping is a beautiful thing. If you don't know what stepping is, but it comes from actually from slavery. Slavery. The conversation is around gumboot steppers who use step as a way to communicate in the Underground Railroads. There's all types of things that even go even further back into Africa and how they danced and played. And we took that and turned it into something even more. We got it into movies. We got it on big stages. And that was a part of something that I was a part of, which I was so proud to be a part of. The Divine Nine fraternities and sororities have had stepping as part of their culture. And even down into high school and in grade school groups, kids are getting to express themselves through this art form. One of the most special things about the art form is there is no like step school, right? The way there's a ballet school or there's no step school. This is oral tradition that is handed down from generation to generation. And every generation gets to build upon this thing and make it something beautiful. When it got handed to me, I didn't know what to do with it. I wasn't good, right? My best friend lived next door to me, and I was like, Greg, I'm not that good. The first show we had, I couldn't get on stage, and that for me was demoralizing. It killed me, right? Like, oh, I couldn't get on stage with them. I had to stand on the side of the stage or be a part of the show that wasn't a stepper. And that feeling of not being able to win like that, it destroyed me, but it rebuilt me at the same time. That meant for me extra practice, begging my friend, "Hey, in the extra 2 minutes you have, can you show me that move? How do you go from this to that?" Asking my best friend's older brother who was stepping in to show me a couple moves, asking his friends, give me a couple moves. By the time we got to the next show, I was on stage, and then from that moment, it was all I did. My sister and my mom used to be, "Oh my God, Grace downstairs in the kitchen stepping." It was something that I had to do. That form of expression, it meant something to me, so I kept giving to it, and then it gave back to me. By the time I got to the end of my high school career, I had been stepping for 3 or 4 years now. I was, we felt like we were the best then, but when now I got to college, I got a chance to really prove it. And on some of the biggest stages in the world, we showed improved. But again, to me, some of the best shows that we ever had came from those practice sessions. I'll tell you, quick story. We went to the Howard Homecoming is one of the biggest shows you in the on the planet, right? It's Howard
Oh,
Homecoming is historic, right? So going to Howard University. where where you're looking at all the Divine Nine in full presence, everybody's showing up, and this is one of the biggest shows historically. We go to this show, and I don't even remember stepping on stage. That's how fast the show went, and we won it. It was like what we won one of the biggest step shows there is ever. That wasn't what was memorable. What was memorable to me was the next day we were walking on the campus, right? Just walking in all this history where all these groups from time, all these fraternities and sororities met on the yard for year after year in history. And there was a stage. It was outside, and we saw the stage just as a group, and we got up there and we performed our show. We had never heard ourselves so clean, like, there was no audience, it was just us. We got on that stage and we performed it, but that's how deep stepping was for us. When you wanna be the best in the world at something, that's the kind of passion that has to be bred into it. Now, in every case, right, this is where it gets challenging. Now, in every case, right, if I'm 4 foot, doesn't mean I'm automatically gonna be I'm passionate about basketball, so now all of a sudden, I'm gonna get to be the best basketball player in the world. When I talked about opening the aperture, this is how I looked at it. If you're 4 foot, but you love basketball, is it just playing or do you love basketball? Because basketball has a whole lot of, compartments to it. There's coaching, right? There's training staffs. There's people who work in the arenas and the buildings. There's people who do planning. There's the TV side of basketball. I can open up that aperture and find 10 more paths for me to get as close to this thing that I love, right? That'll allow me a space to give my gifts to it, right? That could be the thing. For me in the step team, I was not only a choreographer for my team. Eventually, I went from not that good to choreographing stuff, right? But I was not only that. I wanted to think of the what were we going to wear on stage, and then how was that going to look? I'm designing the costumes. I'm working with the team to. This is how when we wear this, it's so we can do this move. This is going to look this way. All of a sudden, I'm getting closer and closer to this thing that I love in different ways, and I believe that idea, that formula of figuring out how you can be the best in the world of something is about finding that thing that you're passionate about, opening up your aperture and saying, how can I get closer to this thing I love and give my passion to it?
I love that. So finding the thing that you're passionate about,
Yes.
opening up your aperture,
Hmm.
opening your vision to how you can get closer to the thing. I love that. And then what was the third one?
It has to the habit, right? It's the practice.
Yes.
It's a practice thing, right? Our love for it meant that we were almost always in practice. We spend way more time in practice than we do on stage. I think there's so many things in life that give us answers when we really dissect them and study them. If you look at a football season, right? Football right now, as people are we're in football season. People getting ready for the Super Bowl or planning for it, or the basketball. I'm a huge Laker fan. You can't see it behind me, but I got my Kobe poster right there. They spend way more time, right, practicing or getting ready as a team than we see them on the game stage, right? There's a whole bunch of times set up for them to prepare plans, consider what they're going to do, and then they show improve right after that. But it takes a lot of time. Those careers that sometimes feel like, man, it was just yesterday he was playing in high school. No, that was all types of play, thousands and thousands of hours to this thing that's dedicated. And then we see a 3 hour game, and we don't consider all that goes into that work, right? I think for us, we knew that we were going to get 10 to 15 minutes on stage. But for that 10 to 15 minutes on stage, we practiced for hours and hours and hours, 3 nights a week practice, preparing, thinking about it, time on the side, what we going to do, right? All of that just for 15 minutes, but 15 minutes of the best that we had. So being able to give those 3 hours for that 15 minutes meant everything.
That's so good. You said so
Yeah.
many good things. One of the things I really want to zero into is that opening your aperture, because I feel like a lot of times in our society, we get roped into these patterns and these
Hmm.
norms. And we talked a little bit about this off camera, but how we're taught to go to school, get good grades, go to college, find a good job, stay there for 40 years, retire, and live. And that mindset, although it can provide security in some ways, it really doesn't open the door to creativity. And I think
Hmm.
people so disappointed because they follow this one road with blinders on, and they really don't take the time to dissect and examine, what am I really passionate about? And if I can't do it this one way that I plan to do it, do I quit it altogether, or can I find another way that I can get close to it. I love that. Get close to it and then serve it, pour my gifts into it. What are some other places in your life where you discovered that maybe that straight line wasn't the best for you, but you found other ways to walk out your passions? I know one of the places that you said that you love, one of your passions is public speaking. How did that walk itself out in your love for and your desire to get better at public speaking?
I this is why I feel so like connected to you already. When I first heard about what your content was going to be about communication, about having good talk, for me, I was automatically drawn in because public speaking was the way I sort of blossomed as a person. I'm a shy person by nature. Every time I say that to somebody, they don't
It's
believe it.
so hard to
They're
believe.
like, no, that's not true. I'm like, yes, it is. If you put me in a room more times than not, I would prefer to stay quiet, but I realized I wasn't gonna have friends if I didn't get connected to people and I didn't start talking. But that didn't happen until I started public speaking. There was a teacher, Miss Gherkin. You know, when you have great teachers, you got to remember them and say thank you. So I'm saying thank you right now if she ever gets to see something like this. But Miss Gherkin basically had this deal like, hey, if you was on the speech and debate team, you was gonna get an A in her class. That was sort of the word, right? Speech and debate team, you're gonna get an A. And I was like, hey, I want all the A's I can get. I'll join the speech and debate team. No big deal. So I joined the speech and debate team, and almost automatically, I won't be like I was good automatically, but it was something that was fun, right? I was doing at the time I was doing dramatic duo, and we would take speeches and perform them with a partner, and we got good at it really fast. The next year, I tried my hand at something different. It was original oratory. And now, creatively, I was getting to write my own content and give speeches in front of huge rooms. And that also gave me a chance to be one of the best in the world at the time, right? I got to compete every week. I was getting trophies all the time. I got to perform my speech at Harvard and got an award they called Next in the Mist. So I was almost in the final round, but they actually acknowledged that to say, hey, you were 1 or 2 points off and you would have been in the finals. That was great. And I was number two at the CFL at the end of the year in the nation. At the Catholic Forensics League. So just being able to perform in those ways and show up. I was in my school newspaper. I wasn't on the basketball team outside of high school. I was on the JV squad, but this was my varsity letter. This was my chance to show up. And I was in the paper. I would love to be in the paper every week. And the basketball team was in the paper every week, or the baseball team was in the paper every week. And there we go. Those speech and debate kids are killing it, knocking it out. It was important for me because I think initially when I got to school, I thought sports might be my path. I'm tall, lanky. I thought basketball was going to be it. As much as I love basketball, I was growing faster and getting more experiences from public speech and debate at the time. So I dove in, similar to what I was talking to you about with step, right? I had found something that I was interested in, and that meant every day after school I was in the speech and debate room. I was practicing my speech. I was writing. I was studying other writers and finding my path through that. I think right now what happens is all those things and all those clubs that we were a part of in our high school days, we get into the workspace and they're asking us to shut those parts of ourselves off, right? For security, your creativity gets shut off. For security, your dream gets to get shut off. But I was always reminded that when I shut my dream off, I'm doing that in order for someone else's dream to succeed. There's someone who dreams so big that they got me to give into their dream and give everything I have to it. And now I had to revert that camera back to myself or that mirror back to myself and say, well, what if I give everything I have to my dream? I started activating you with a really good friend of mine, a coworker that I had in the past. And literally it came from us being accountability partners. And that turned into the last 5 years of us being able to share our gift with the world. It's been a joy, right? But as I'm still a slasher, I'm still W-2 on this side, but I still get to do this thing that I'm building into. It's important for me to see, hey, yeah, I'm doing this, but part of this is to support this dream that I have of building, activating you out to be something that the world will know. I want to be one of the best in the world at what I do in this space again, and I know there's a formula for it, so I'm scratching it out now.
Love it. So you are titled the Chief Activating Officer.
That's right.
Um,
That's
and
right.
activating you is a coaching program?
Yeah, it's really
Tell me
about
more.
helping high performers. Activating you is really about helping high performers go from knowing what to do to actually doing it. right? I just got out of my cohort. We just start last year. We started to build into our activating you work a 12-week cohort where we take high performers and we guide them from um, um, like sort of having a sense of what they want to do, but not knowing how, to building better habits, to getting systems in place for them to build those habits, and then allowing them week over week to build momentum as they show up as their best selves consistently, right? What I've learned in my work in learning and development over the last decade is I see business solve problems all the time, right? Um, uh, and retail is a special, I think retail is a special world. If you ever get to spend time on the leadership side of it, you get to step back and see how things work. There are teams of people who are dedicated to a business and they really give everything they have. But when there's a problem, it's usually something in a behavior that they need to change. Well, the learning and development teams, the HR teams, those talent teams are often solving problems through helping people change behaviors. Well, how do they do that? Right? They understand that if we make something a priority from the highest level, if our CEO and the teams under them say this is the most important thing, right? Back to when I was talking about with stepping, similar thing. What's the priority? What's the most important thing? All of a sudden, we have some clarity. That clarity is provided by knowing this is important to me. The next thing is saying, hey, what are my habits? Do my habits support this thing that's a priority? More times than not, if the business isn't being successful in the thing they want to do, it's because they aren't really clear on what that priority is, right? So they're divided in that sense. And then all their habits don't support what they've determined to be the priority. In your life, things work the same way. Am I clear on what's important to me? If I say my family is the most important thing to me, am I taking out time, right? To have dinner with them, to sit and eat, to spend time in play and rest with my family? Or do I take every email, answer every call, right? Like, am I out with the fellas when I should be home with the fam? That looks different in action than what we say. So if those two things now make sense, right? If I have my priorities in line, if I have my habits that support my priority, well, then the next thing is I want to make those habits really easy to replicate. And that's where systems come into play. Systems like getting feedback, an accountability partner, those kinds of things help you stay in line when you're trying to do it. And business is really good at that. Every day they start the day a certain way. Those are habits they do that they have. Those habits are also systematic. So we do this first, then this, then that. Why? Because they make it easy for the habits that support our priorities to be replicated. We could take those same formulas and attach it to our personal lives, and all of a sudden find ourselves closer and closer to the best version of ourselves that we want to be. And that's what activating you is all about.
Wow, that's incredible. I know that with high achievers, don't ask me how I know, but with high achievers, they have a tough time getting clear because I think they're so focused on the achievement and the doing and the
Yeah.
excelling. And many high achievers are very good at lots of things.
You
And
know.
so, what is it like for you to work with those people and watch them over time get to clarity?
Ooh, it could bring me to tears. We had a call last week. Um, And there's a young lady who on my call, I hope that she'll watch this and she'll see and she'll recognize. I won't say her name, but I hope she'll recognize the moment. But we do this thing that we got from our coach Omar El Takari, where he puts us on a hot seat. Now, we call it the momentum seat here, and we put everybody. And what we ask them to do is answer 5 questions, right, around their goals. Basically, why are you setting this goal? Like, why is it important to you? And then 5 questions that kind of go starting from there to like, what are the blockers? What are the things that get in the way? What's one habit you could do now? We want them to really dive into why they like all of the whys, right? That they would have to activate this goal that they have. So they have to really be planful around the thing. They can't just say, I want to start a YouTube channel. Like that's not enough. It's like, I want to start a YouTube channel. Why do I want to start the YouTube channel? What can I do today? What actually they have to really think this through. And week over week, we were having people do this momentum seat moment. But the beauty is you get a group of people around you to sort of call out like, hey, there's a hole here that I could see. Or, hey, I've done that. I can help you here. Or, ooh, let me connect you with someone. So now all of a sudden, not only is your goal coming to life, but you're having the world sort of support you and push you forward to help you build momentum towards the goal that you have, right? It's something that we've come to love being able to do. This last meeting that we had, the last hot seat that we had, that moment, watching someone sit up there and the way they came prepared, right, for this moment, right? The way they really had to like get clear on this is important to me. This is what I want to do. I want to get in this space. Once I'm in this space, here's how I'm going to challenge it. What I'm going to do today that gets me closer to this thing now. The biggest blocker for me is this. So what's my plan to build momentum against that? To have someone sit down and really get that level of clarity for themselves, it lets you see that there's a pathway forward. And watching someone go from, "Oh, I'm not sure if I'm even okay with dreaming this big," to saying, "No, no, no, I can dream this big," and get really clear on how big I wanna dream, and now I have a path to get myself closer to it. I'm a big believer in the idea that if you start the work, the world will come together. The world will conspire to help you if you don't lose the fight. And that's an important thing. You have to allow yourself that time to get clear, though, right? Like that's part of it. Part of the conversation is I had to tell the world, I'm doing this thing now, right? I'm about this right now. And I'm going to show you that I'm about this in my action. And those actions allow you to build momentum until you are unstoppable. And I think that's important. So watching someone go from not knowing to building momentum to me is the most inspiring thing. So that's why I'm dedicating so much of my time to try to get myself closer to that.
So good. One of the things you said is if you don't lose the fight. So, how does one prevent herself from losing the fight when life is life in and you know that there's a
Whew.
thing you want to push toward, but it seems like sometimes the closer you get, the heavier the opposition or the more things happen that try to
Yes.
impede your progress. So, how would you coach someone into staying in the fight?
Mm. How would I coach someone to stay in the fight? Well, the first thing I would say right now is it's about the long game. This fight that you're in, right? It's a long game. More times than not, when we see what success looks like for people, it's a long game. I was watching a movie this week, and I'm a big movie fan. I was watching F1. If you haven't seen F1, it's a classic race car movie. It's right in there. They did a good job with this one. But the thing that drew me, that I think about, and I'm always looking for. I think in Pharrell said he sees in sounds, right? Like that was one of the things he says. I see in speeches. I'm always looking for the keynote speech moment of something. And I was watching the montage in the movie, and it was making me think about the beauty of a montage, but also montages are what ruin the fight for us, right? You think about Rocky, F1, any movie where there's a montage, right? That's 80s and 90s movies were big on the montage where the fighter goes from not knowing how to fight to being the best fighter. That montage is so inspiring. The music behind it, the clips that they show you, they're doing it to show you like the things that I'm just talking about. This is important. So I'm practicing every day and you're seeing a little bit of growth. That montage is so inspiring, but it happens in about 3 minutes. They don't give two, right? They don't give you much more than 3 minutes. We want our success to be that montage length. We like, oh man, I got 2 workouts in, record my montage, success. No, more times than not, we're watching decades of work come into play for someone to reach the thing that they wanted to do. The fight is part of staying in the fight is saying, do I enjoy the work? Do I enjoy the work? Step practice. I just told you the biggest show we ever won. I forgot it. I don't remember what it felt like to be on stage. I remember a little bit. It was a lot of people. I remember a little bit. But what I remember more was the step show that we did with no audience the next day on the campus. That crisp sound that we did. I think every person on our team, we got off that stage, almost didn't have to talk about it. We knew that was our best step that we ever just did, and nobody saw it. Right? We loved that so much. No one asked us to step in that moment. We just got on stage and did that. My when I was writing speeches, practicing for it or being on a stage for a 20-room audience and really touching someone in that room and them really being inspired and leaving the room saying, "Man, I'm so inspired by what you said." Those are the moments for me that I have to hold on to. So it's about finding the small wins that allow you to build momentum. Being clear on whether or not you love this thing enough that you will keep doing it and you'll keep giving yourself to it. Hey, here's another thing I would say to someone who doesn't want to lose the fight. Sometimes you win more fights by quitting, and that sounds weird, right? There was a line that said, "If you want to read more books, stop reading books you don't like anymore." Right? You get in 10 pages in, this book ain't feeding you. Put that book down. Pick up another book. Hey, if you're in a fight, sometimes you think you're in this fight and you have to stay in it because you don't want to be a quitter. But maybe this isn't really a fight, right? I was studying one thing in school. I had to switch lanes, but I killed myself for switching that lane. I felt like, oh, if I switch lanes, I'm a quitter. No, that wasn't for me. This lane is right. Being able to define my path is more important, and then say, oh, this is where I'm finding joy. When we give into that, right? When we give into that feeling of saying, hey, this is actually the space I want to go, there's more chance for us to stay in that fight. And when it's time to pivot, be okay. Give yourself license to pivot. You're not a quitter. At that moment, you're finding the thing that actually is for you in doing that as well.
That's so freeing, I'm sure, for people who really value responsibility and whose strength is responsibility,
Yeah.
knowing that just because you stop something doesn't mean that you're a quitter.
Yeah.
Just because you transition or shift doesn't mean that you quit. It means that you are pivoting, like you said, into something that might be a better fit for you, maybe something that allows you to flourish and use your gifts more. So that is really good, freeing. And it reminds me of something else that you talked about before about feeling frustration in places. And when we were talking before, the idea of a check engine light came to mind when you were talking about frustration. Like frustration is something that tells you you have to evaluate and look under the hood. So
Hmm.
how do you know when frustration is it's time to quit or frustration is I need to make adjustments, stay where I am, but
Oh, I'll take this back to my store examples, right? In retail, you get to start every day and you get to end every day, and you get to do an audit of your business, right? How often are you auditing your life like someone will audit your business, right? At the end of every year in the workspace, you're going to get what? A review. Those are moments to audit how your year went. How often are you auditing your year? Right? There's so again back to this idea and these concepts of rigor that we have in these other spaces that we feel like we know we have to do. I was reading a post that was talking about your review, and you will spend hours putting together your review to talk about all the things you did. But you do that for work. What about your year? Where's your review? Where's your annual review for you? Did you spend a couple hours looking at every month and your calendar and saying, here are all the things I did. Here are the goals I reached and here are the wins that I had so that you could see your successes laid in front of you so you know how powerful you are. We don't do that, but we're giving that to another space. I would need to be able to do those audits, right? In our cohort, one of the first things we do is we ask you to do a priority, to audit your priorities, audit your habits as well. What's important? Like, get clear on that, right? What is the most important thing to you? How do you know? When I got on, I remember getting married, and one of my favorite things about it was the speeches that are given on stage, right? Your best man's gonna come up and he's gonna give a speech. And then the maid of honor is gonna get up and she's gonna give a speech. And then your sister's gonna get up and your uncle going. So all these speeches are going around. And every speech I had, someone mentioned something about me working out, me packing my clothes to work out, me getting my gym clothes together to work out, me teaching the spin class. Every speech, somebody said something about it. And it spoke to me and it said, oh, everyone here knows how important that part of my life is, right? My fitness, my wellness in that space. They understand that it's a non-negotiable. They understand that when I go on vacation, I'm packing my gym clothes first because I want to make sure I'm looking when I book a hotel, I'm looking to see what are the gym amenities. I need to know what that workout's gonna be like. They understood that that's important to me. My priorities show up outside of who I am, right? That's an important thing to know. But if I'm not auditing that, if I'm not clear on what that looks like, if I'm not getting an accountability partner, whether that's my best friend, my mom, my wife, somebody to say, hey, if I asked you what my priorities were this year, what would you say they were? And let them tell you. Give them a chance to do that, right? And then once you have, oh, if it doesn't show up to everyone that's my priority, what can I do to make that show up as my priority? That's where some of those things that we can do that audit for yourself of what's important to you. And once you're clear on your priorities, then audit your habits because that's what it's telling you. My habits don't tell everyone in the world, everyone around me, everyone on Insta what's the most important thing to me, right? And if I can do those two things and I can get really clear on that, and then I get a path to say, well, I want this to show up as my priority because it matters to me, then these habits will make that show up. And then I just got to plan into systems that allow me the space to do that. Every year, I get together with a good group of friends of mine. And for like the last 5 or 6 years running, we've been doing this. It's odd because the idea of a momentum hot seat showed up in the coaching class that I took, right? I was in a coaching class and he was like, we're going to do it this way. But every year in January, sometime in the end, like between Christmas and New Year's, me and two of my really good friends, we sit down and we plan our years. So we have to come to the table with the plan and concepts of what we want to do. My very first year, I remember saying, "This year I'm writing a book and I'm starting a podcast and I'm doing it." And they were able to say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, slow down! Look at all these things." If you did all of them this year, I mean, like are you going to go to work? Like, are you gonna have a girlfriend? Like all these things, that's not going to be possible, right? They were able to help me look at that list and say, well, what is worth going after this year? If I could look at every year and go back and say, I did this one thing and I'm proud of that, that's a win, right? If I did this one thing, I'm proud of that. If I could say, if I look at a year and say, man, last year, I went to 4 concerts with my wife. That's more than we've done in a calendar year. That's amazing. I took my kid, I took my kid out a couple times. That's amazing. There's things that I could line up my year and say, if I look back at that year, that's a success. Not because I got a raise, not because I got a promotion, not because the money came in, no, but because I spent my time the way I planned to spend it, right? That habit of being able to do that allowed me the space. Find ways to audit your priorities, to audit your habits, and then once you have that, that gives you a formula to build systems that allow you to show up as the best version of you more consistently. And I think that's where you'll find your wins.
And I think it's so important also when you're talking about aligning yourself with people who can hold you accountable or tell you the truth. We have to grow in emotional intelligence enough to receive what they're telling us. I think we
Hmm.
have an ideal that we think we might be, and most of that might be true, but we can't see ourselves. We can only see ourselves with a mirror or in a picture. And so those people around us are mirrors. They can tell us that what we can't see. And so we have to be really open to hearing that if I say my priority is my family and my family says they don't see me much, I can't get defensive about that. I have to be willing to say, just like you said, if other people aren't seeing this thing in my life reflected in who I live based on what I'm doing, if they can't see it and I believe it's a priority, I have to be mature enough and emotionally intelligent enough to reevaluate and to see what I can do to make sure that what I'm doing aligns with what I say is a plan.
I love that. The way to honor feedback is to receive it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that again. The way to honor feedback is to receive it. It takes a lot of energy from someone and their time to tell you something about yourself. And especially if they're gonna be honest with you, right? The best way to honor that feedback is to receive it. We don't always have to listen to respond, but in that moment to say, you know what, I'll receive it. Feedback can be challenging, especially if it's not, especially if we have the right energy towards something, we're trying to get something done, and somebody gives us feedback that we don't necessarily love. It can be challenging, but it's important to give yourself time and space to receive it. Our world is moving so fast, we don't slow down enough to realize what a gift feedback is. All right. One of the I do a lot of workshops and over the last couple of years, there's a trend that I've noticed. Whenever I talk about feedback in a workshop, I used to raise my hand and say, has anyone ever, if anyone ever asked you who wants to get some feedback right now, how many of you will have a trouble with it? And a bunch of them will raise their hand. So 10 years ago, everyone in the room was saying, oh, I don't like all this feedback people are giving. 10 years later, when I ask that same question, because the generation has changed over a decade, when I say, hey, if anybody wants to give you feedback right now, raise your hand. Who's going to have a hard time with that? Nobody raised their hand. Why? This generation recognizes how much of a gift feedback is. That means they're looking for feedback all the time. We can see it in the way they live, right? They're on Instagram. They post a picture, they're looking for how many likes to get. That's feedback for them. If they text you, they're
So
expecting an immediate response. That's feedback, right? When they write a LinkedIn post, they're looking to see how many people they're using and leveraging feedback in ways that the generations before haven't. So right now, learn from the youngins, all right? Start to love feedback. Start to seek it out. Feedback is a system that you can leverage to help you know where your habits are showing up, where you're right. If you have a friend and say, hey, I'm going after this goal, I'm not going to make it big, but I want somebody who knows what's going on so they can help keep me accountable. Me and Sandy have become Sandy's my business partner, my co-founder of Activating You. That was what it started for us. COVID was showing us some weird stuff that was happening to our body. We was growing ways we didn't like. So we started talking to each other and say, hey, would you be my accountability partner, just to hold me accountable to living the way and showing up in the way that I want. After about 30 days of text messages and feedback, our families got closer. Our habits started to align so much that we could hang out as a family with our family and your family during that time and still have our habits be in alignment. We sat down and we talked about it and said, man, all these things that we were doing, most plans work if you stick to them. That's why I pause right there. Most plans work if you stick to them. But what happens is You changed from plan to plan. You didn't see the result in week 1, so you started a new diet. You didn't see the workout ain't work halfway through. What's the give me another workout? All of us, right? Our attention spans shrink, and then our ability to stick to it also shrinks. It's about sticking to something when you get into it, to figure out what it is, auditing that process to see where my wins are with some consistency, and giving yourself that chance to do it. If someone is willing to give you feedback, pause, slow down, hear it. Be frustrated if you need to, but hear it and then see what you can adopt. Not every piece of it should change everything you're doing, but it's a gift enough for you to say, "Hey, what can I change or adjust based on what's being said here?" There's an ounce of truth, even if I don't like this feedback at all. There's an ounce of truth here. There's something in here that I could take to push me forward, and that feedback can fuel the best version of myself to show up.
Wow, that's really good. Plans, most plans work if you work them.
If you, that's it. That's it. Omar Al Takori, we spent a year in his inner circle. And one of the things he would say was, "Hey man, run the play." Right? If
Yes.
you got a coach, if you got a coach and the coach is giving you the play, run the play. Even if the play doesn't work, you have to know why it didn't work. But you can't know it didn't work if you didn't run the play. You have to be able to see that play through to say, "Oh, this part didn't work. So if I tweak it this much, what happens now?" Or if I, "Oh, this part did work. This is where there was some success, but maybe not so much here. So if I shift this, then what happens there?" We got to run the play. Most plans work if you stick to them.
Why do you think it's so hard for us to why do we overcomplicate that? Using that example, that's so good. Using the example of our coach, Omar, saying run the play.
Yeah.
And people in the group saying he gives you the play. Now he gives you a play that's flexible enough for you to customize it to make it your own. But the play's the play. And there are people who are like, well, I tried this, and then I threw it away. And then I tried this and this. And he's like, but did you run the play? So, what is it in us that makes us either not stick with it or to try to overcomplicate the play?
Information overload today.
Mm,
Information overload. It's information overload. And it's not that all information there's value in a ton of information, but it's never been so fast to be able to become an expert in something. I challenge all the time. I don't like, one of the people in my cohort, he's a CEO of a company, and he pulled me to the side one time and he's like, "Hey man, you don't have to keep telling me you're not an expert. Like if I'm listening to you now in this moment, you're an expert, right? Like that's what that is." Because I shy away from saying expert at this, expert. I don't like telling someone I'm an expert. It doesn't make sense. What I am is a learner, and what I learn, I'll share, right? And then there's a lot of people today who will tell you they're experts. That's a challenging thing. So if you're an expert, right? Now Instagram's algorithm, because I am trying to grow in this space, I'm sure you see it too. Is every other post is about somebody telling me how your coaching program could be better, or if you want to get more workshops, if you want more public speaking, like every other one is telling me. So it could make me feel like, well, maybe I should run with this guy's plan, or maybe I should run with this lady's plan. No, 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 no. This plan sounds pretty good. How about that plan? The inundation of the content that's being pushed in my direction is causing like a lack of direction. Here's the difference. If I'm creating, then I don't have as much time to take in all that information. Running the play is your blocker, right? Put the blinders on and run the play, and then now I don't have to look for 10 coaches. I got one and I can run with that plan. And then I can become my own coach because I've run the play enough to see where there was success and where there wasn't. I'm not saying that's easy, right? It's not, because we use Instagram to get away. We turn on, there's so many spaces that we're leveraging to try to um, take us, give us a little bit of an escape. That's fair and that's true. But it's understanding, hey, if I could stay clear on what my priority is, right? When I'll take it back again, I'll take it back to my step team. That's a great example for me right now. It was just Founders Day. That's probably why I'm feeling all my my Panhellenic views right now. Um, but when we were stepping, we didn't have, it was just us. That incubator was just our step team. And if you weren't coming to practice with us, if you weren't dedicated like we were, you sort of couldn't evolve with us. You didn't go. If you couldn't get these moves, it wasn't because we weren't showing them to you. It's because you didn't have the same level of dedication. If the party meant more to you in that moment than step practice, then you couldn't run with us. That's just how we moved. That shows up in other spaces. We didn't have 12 coaches. It was just those 12 guys. Like that was it. So now today, when you want to do something, again, you're inundated by ads, people selling, telling you they're the expert. I'm the expert. And then even part of the challenge is say, no, my way is the best way. No, 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 my way. That is a really hard way to find success. Um, Pick a coach, pick a plan. My first coach when I started working out was Muscle Fitness magazines. That was it. That's all I had. I had $6 a month to buy a magazine, and I didn't buy all the magazines. I just bought Muscle Fitness. I was able to just use one pathway to get my gains in my muscles, to change my life. And all of a sudden, I showed up, my body transformed into something different. One coach, not 1,700. Now, even though the magazine section, and there's all types of fitness magazine, I wasn't grabbing all of them. I just chose one. Choose a path, stick to it, right? If you tell me I tried this, I tried this, I tried this, as a coach, my response would be, have you tried sticking to it? Because if you haven't tried sticking to it, maybe that's the way you need to go.
That's so good. Something else we have in common, that Muscle and Fitness magazine. I was a bodybuilder
Hey,
before. I'm
girl,
thinking about doing it again. I turned
get
50 this
them,
year, so I'm thinking about
get
doing it
them.
again. But I used to pull those workouts back in the day
Hmm.
because I'm a little older than you, I think. I used to pull those workouts out.
You
I
couldn't
used
tell,
to
girl. You know the secret. We don't crack. You know what time it is.
I did. I used to pull those workouts out of the magazine. I cut them out and I put them in my spiral and I take to the
Hmm.
gym. And same, like they were designed for a certain amount of weeks. If you stick with it, you should see a result. So I think that's so true that sticking with it, the tenacity, the being wise enough and discerning enough to find
Yeah.
the lane and the path to go down and stay on for a while, the narrowing your ear to listening to one
Yeah.
coach at one time, or a couple, depending on your specialization, but
Yeah.
making sure that you kind of tune out all the noise.
Yeah.
Find that one that you resonate with and follow that long enough to begin to see some change. I think is really an important word for people because there is a lot of information and a lot of choices and a lot
So
of
much.
voices and a lot of experts. And so being wise about who you listen to, who you align yourself with, whose feet you sit at, I think is really key in this season. That's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I love that. We
Go ahead.
I only thing I was gonna add, because we found our relation through finding a coach, right? We were looking for more. We were investing in ourselves, and we took the time out to seek this person. Um, and though we came to him in a different way, both of us came to understand and appreciate him for something else. I think also it was like every person that steps in front of me can tell me they have a way and their plan is the best one. Now that's marketing, right? They're good at selling, so that makes me listen. The difference was when I got this coach, he wasn't trying to sell me anything when he was just sharing information. The information he gave was so good in all these other pockets. I said, let me invest some more. I think I'm saying that to say vet your sources too, right?
Yes.
There's a way to vet your source. Anybody, if you like their plan so much, send them a message. Like, talk to them on Instagram. You could. That's what it's social media for. To ask them a couple questions. If you don't like the way the questions sound, right? If the only thing they want to do for you is sell you, that's great. Right now, that's not what you. I need to vet before I spend. If I can't do that way, follow their content. That's what the follow button's for. Like, look at a couple more of their posts. Try to get an understanding of where they go. There's a vetting we can do, and I challenge everyone to do that through our spaces as well. If you like what Tiffany's talking about, better a little bit. Ask her a question, DM her, get a sense of what she's about. Once you get 5 minutes, we spoke on the phone last week. I think we were supposed to meet for 30 minutes. We talked for an hour and a half. Like, it was just such good conversation. It was just such good sharing. People like that, you wanna spend time in and around them. And if they have something to share and teach you, they'll do it in those moments. In that hour and a half, oh, I need to connect you with this person. You need to connect me. Oh, I got right. Those things just come natural with somebody if you spend time with them. So tap into somebody, choose a path, vet your coaches, right, and then stick with it.
That's strong. One of the things I'm noticing too in that is one of the ways you can vet your coaches is to see what they've produced or who they've
Mm,
produced.
mhm.
So a lot of coaches, you'll be able to see the people who have learned from them or worked under them. And you can even see, you can talk to them. What was it like working with this person? I've had people ask me because I have a coach for different areas of my life. And anybody who knows me knows I like learning and I like direction. Tell me where to
Yeah.
go. I'm a run to play. But they'll ask me, what's it like working with so and so? Is he the same way behind closed doors in the rooms as he is on camera? I love being able to say absolutely because I won't align myself with someone who isn't the same, on camera and in the classroom. So I think that's fantastic. I want to talk to you about this. I want to shift gears just a little bit
Okay.
because you said you are or have been a spin instructor. And one of the things
Yes.
I found really cool about you being a spin instructor is you said that that was like a stage for you to practice your public speaking. So tell me a little bit about that first, but then that's another one of those opening your aperture moments.
Yeah.
How can
Yeah.
people find ways to hone their skills in maybe unconventional ways or ways that they haven't thought of?
I love this question. It brings up a couple of things. Like it ties back into some of the questions you were asking me earlier. You talked about high performance being good at like being good at so many things. I don't say good at anything, but they're good at so many things. Part of why I think that is once we get our teeth into something, like we want to master it. That desire to master the thing ends up showing up in so many ways. Like, oh, there's someone who can figure it out in all these pockets. Not every one of those things deserves that level of energy, right? But that's what happens. We get it. I started spinning. Um, and I got so much joy from being a student in the class. I looked at it and said, "Ooh, I think that's something I could do." I reached a point in my work career where like the work was getting a little stale. Nothing wrong with that, right? You get to a space where you know what you're doing. The promotion didn't come right away. I need to keep myself baited, and I wanted to take on a new challenge, and the spin instruction became part of that challenge. I got certified, and now I'm like, man, once I get certified, it's on, right? I get in the classroom, I get to run my playlist. My very first class, 2 people showed up, right? And it's like, "Oh, no. What am I gonna do with this?" My next class, 2 people showed up, right? And it was a different 2, like, them 2 didn't even come back, right? Um, and I had to figure out how to give this audience of 2 the energy I would give an audience of 2,000. And if I could do that, then all of a sudden I could build the room up to a space where I could command a crowd that size. That meant I was going to have to suffer through a class of 2, 4, 6, 7 sometimes and build some consistency around how I was going to go about doing that. But but if I didn't open up my aperture, right? If I was at work and I didn't say, "Hey, if a promotion doesn't come, I got to leave the job." That wasn't necessary. Knowing what you're doing sometimes is great. Because I knew what I was doing, that part of my life could be right habitual. It could be a little bit on autopilot. I didn't have to learn something new, a new boss, a new space. Right now, I knew what I was doing. I could be excellent here. That gave me room to find another space to have a challenge. And that's what I did there. I think a lot of high achievers could benefit from that. Sometimes work isn't giving you or fulfilling you in every possible way. It doesn't mean that automatically you have to become an entrepreneur. I feel like that's a different path at different times. But hobbies like learning to sew, like writing, like starting a YouTube channel, right? Like creating content, like becoming a spin instructor or a fitness instructor. These are spaces where you could give the skills that you have in a different way that maybe didn't look like the linear path, right? My favorite thing to do in my work is to write, not just like not lesson plans, but not just to write workshops or think of ways to get people's brains to make a light bulb go off so they could see and understand the concept. I love that. But then my favorite part of that is to take that content that I thought of and present it, to share it, to see the light bulb actually happen and feel like I had something to do that. We might do a workshop once a quarter in the big business, but I could do a workshop every Saturday, right, in the spin studio, right? And I could elevate people and make them feel a way and then make them, you know how important, you know how special it is if you could be somebody that people plan their week around? Think about that, right? Talk about that idea of being the best in the world or something. Y- there's a time period where people said, "I will plan my week around this spin class." If you're a spin instructor, a cycle instructor, if you teach yoga and there are people who are scheduling their lives around spending time with you, you have to know how special that is. That's we talked about if you're getting feedback, listen, that's feedback, listen. If you're in a space where where things are stale and you want to find something else to do, these are spaces where if you have transferable skills, right? If you emotional intelligence, you're good at instruction, you like to learn, you like people connecting. These are spaces where I've met some of the most amazing people on the planet in this like fitness space, right? They're not trying to hustle. They just really love helping people get to where they're trying to go. I became one of those crazies, and my spin class is where I get to do that. So if you're in Jersey, if you're in New Jersey, come to Lifetime Berkeley Heights, come do a spin class with me. She's gonna put my email in here. So hit me up and send me a message. We'll get you in a spin class. But man, do I love being able to do that. And if you come to one of my classes, you'll see what I'm talking about. My love and my passion for this thing comes all the way out. Whenever you have to, there's often times where if you're a spin instructor or a fitness group instructor, you might have to switch schedules. And you never want to do that because you built up a class where people are coming and they know the time you come. So when you switch, sometimes you can get them, but if their life doesn't support it, you're gonna lose audience. And now you got to build audience back up, and that's a scary feeling. Building audience back up just means being consistent, showing up again for a new group, and all of a sudden you get to build that momentum right back up. So it's a special space.
You said something really strong that I want to make sure it gets highlighted.
Talk to me.
When you are a high achiever, especially when you're in a job that you've done for a long time and you're good at it, and it
Hmm.
starts to become mundane, but it is your bread and butter.
Yeah.
If the thing is that you need a new challenge, that you need to learn something, that you need to be pushed, that you need to be stretched, that there are avenues to do that. Again, opening up your aperture. There are avenues to do that without hopping from the fire pan, the what is it, frying pan into the fire?
Into the fire. Yeah.
There are ways to do that. And so I think that's really, really important to highlight. And another thing you said, I had to write it down, is that everything doesn't deserve the same energy. Oh my gosh. Everybody needs to hear that. Especially when you are good at a lot of things, when things come easily to you, you want to do everything on 1,000. And some things don't require 1,000. Like
Right.
some things require 10. And being able to discern what things really need your full energy and what things need as much. Again, it goes back to prioritizing, I think. You know, what's
Preach.
the priority? I'm learning. Look, I do
Preach.
get free coaching.
There,
That's
there
all.
we there we go. There we go.
I'm learning, I'm practicing. But yeah, I think I'll understanding and highlighting your priorities, and
Hmm.
that the majority of your energy into that. Being open though to looking at how you can walk out your priorities. It might involve habit stacking. It might involve looking at how you walk out those priorities in different ways. I just think that's so good. I love giving people different angles to view life. One of my friends saw another episode of mine and she really got hung up on a filmmaker who said that life is like making a film and looking at things from different angles. And so
Mm.
that's so good. All of these camera technologies are super helpful. We got apertures and we got
That's it. Look at that. Look at that. No, I love that you brought that out. That idea of getting clear on the priorities, it really sets up a roadmap for all this stuff, right? I think there are some things that are challenging to say I can't give this the same level of energy. I I pause in some of these moments because I want people to think about that, right? There's gonna right now, I'm in a space where I am trying to build a business, right? I think about this. I think about if you ever go to a sports game, that inevitably at some point somebody is going to try to start the wave, right? Um, if you've never tried to start a wave, try to start one. Go in the arena and try to be the person to start the wave. I went to a Giants game in the beginning of the season and I watched a guy sit there and trying to start the wave. I took pictures with him. I took picture with him after, but he was in my section. He was trying to start the wave. If you watch it, the first time everybody around him was like, "Oh, come on, man. Nah, we ain't doing the wave." And he's trying. Oh, he's trying. He gets up and he throws his hand. He's trying. And everyone around him is like, "No." And he's trying again. All right, I'm gonna try the next quarter. He's trying again. All of a sudden, someone halfway across the arena sees this guy is trying to start the wave, and he wants to get in. So now the guy starts to build some momentum, right? The idea of that. His thing was, I'm gonna do this. There's a lot of reasons why I shouldn't, but I'm gonna give energy to this thing right now. There's a lot of things that are built up when we're trying to do something that doesn't feel like it's supporting where we are. We got to fight through some of that. But being clear about this thing that I'm trying to do allows us the space to do that. If I don't set that up for myself, then that roadmap to get there is something else. Starting a wave, building momentum are not easy things. The first couple steps tend to be the hardest. But once you see that wave start, once he got it kicking, the next 5 minutes, the whole arena is standing up doing this. And that started from one person. Thousands of people are now engaged in this thing and they're enjoying themselves and having fun and having a laugh. There's a kid who is experiencing their very first wave because this guy in section 342 decided he wanted to do this thing, and everyone in his section was fighting him on it. And now everyone in the arena has to do it, right? It's like that. It starts off tough, but the challenge is allowing yourself the space to stick to it, right? To be focused on what it is, but getting your priorities in line allow you to know that that's where you want to give your energy to.
Here's the other takeaway I got from that story is finding your people
Mm.
and your
Mm.
people to help you do the thing that could be really tough might not be the people right here in your close circle.
Talk about it.
You know, it was the
Talk
guy that was
about it.
across the arena that was like, people.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Yes.
you know, you have to be
Oh,
okay with the fact
oh,
that it's not always gonna be the people right in your circle. Sometimes the people in your circle are so used to seeing you a particular way that when you try to step out of that
that
and do
this
your
what they do now, right? This what they do
yeah,
now, right?
they clock it. Or that's what the young people do. But seriously, people will box you in because they're so used to seeing you do a thing. Or they get sick of you get sick of you seeing you do a thing. And so being open to the fact that you might have to go find your people that will
Mhm.
allow and support and partner with you and collaborate with you. And they might not be right here in this close vicinity. You might have to step outside of your normal group to find your people. So that's so good. That's something I've had to do. We talked about being on the island of the misfit toys.
Oh my goodness, but you just said something that's so important that I think a lot of people don't know. I have a buddy who started a cologne. I'm so proud of him, for doing that. Like, he has an actual cologne. He said, "I'm gonna do this, and this is the thing I'm gonna do." I told him very early, "Hey, your friends and family are not the audience, right? Some of them will buy, but they are not the audience." When I started my very first podcast, as excited as I was about starting this podcast, I thought all my friends were going to be as excited as I was. And when I was listening and saying, "Well, you didn't listen to my podcast," it broke my heart because they were the person that I was thinking to. I wanted this person to hear my podcast. I remember having a coworker. There was a coworker that I really wanted to hear my podcast, and she didn't hear it. And I was like, "Ah, when I said this line, I thought you was gonna love that line, but that way, okay, you didn't hear it." What I had to learn was they already got me. I
Mhm.
already won them
That's
over.
good.
They already got me. So
That's
it wasn't
good.
that they weren't supporting my thing. The support was already there. I didn't need it wasn't me that I wasn't trying to sell them. I also didn't only want this same 120, 100 people I know to be my audience. I wanted to introduce myself to a new audience. So even if they had all loved it, it would have only stayed here. I needed to figure out how to expand that. The challenge is not resenting the people in that moment, right? In that moment, initially, I was hurt by that. I was like, "Oh, I thought everybody," but when I flipped it and said, "Oh, wait, no, they already got me. They've heard me say these things. Right? And that's why they want to be around me." And now I'm doing this thing, and if they don't like the post, if they don't repost it, that is not an offense to me. That is me saying, "Hey, I'm also now going to introduce myself to other spaces." And I have to be able to seek those other spaces out. I have to be comfortable seeking those other spaces out. And I have to also honor that these people who knew me in this other space, that's where they know me, and and that's okay for them in this moment. When the time comes, when I blow up big enough, they all gonna ask me to do something free. That's how that ends up happening anyway. But for now, right? But for now, I have to focus this way. That same thing I told my buddy with the cologne. Hey, all your friends could buy it. That's great. That's not who you're trying to sell. You're trying to introduce yourself to a new world So be open to that. Don't be mad if somebody that you know didn't buy the bottle. They already got you, right? Like they already got you. You're trying to get other people to get you, and that's where your focus needs to lie. So it's an important thing. You calling that out is so important if you're an entrepreneur, an artist, building something. If you're trying to start that wave and the people around you aren't doing the wave with you, look for your people because there might be somebody way over there that's going to help you really build that momentum that you need to build.
That's so solid. And I think that ties back into also people who quit too soon. And
Hmm.
sometimes they get discouraged because the people around them who are their people, so they think, their family, their friends, because they're not jumping on it, they get discouraged and quit. When, they're your family, they're the people who've been connected to you because of other experiences or because of other avenues, because of school or whatever. They're not necessarily the audience for this thing that you're going to birth. And so, even sticking through it to find your real tribe and your real people for this particular thing is so important. Looking for the people that you're called to serve, and you don't necessarily always called to serve the family of origin that you were born into or the friend group that you have. So really continuously keeping your mindset on servitude instead of self, I think can help you to push. How do I continue to find the people that I'm called and created to serve? How do I continue to reach out and look for the people that need this thing that I'm doing right now? And one of the things that my pastor says, Dr. Darius Daniels, he's my pastor and coach. He says that you can't decide what I'm going to be. You can decide what parts of me you want or need, but you can't decide on all that I'm going to be. And I think when we are content with, some people are only going to want certain things from us, and that's okay. And I can't be everything to all the people. That's okay too. And so zeroing into that, I think, can be really helpful.
Not everything is going to deserve all the same energy, right? Not every person is going to deserve all. I think I have such a thanks for the friend that I don't have to talk to every day, but knows that if they call me, they got me, right?
Exactly.
Because that's the way life is, right? There's a part of it where I'm not going to speak to you all the time, but when we connect, oh my God, it's like it's like there was no gap in space and time. When you're after something, there's going to be parts of you that maybe you don't connect. You have to forgive yourself that space. If you have really good friends and they understand the mission, they can see you working, they're cheering loud. You may not hear it, but they are cheering loud for every action you take, everything that you do, they see it and they're cheering you on. But in every moment, if I had to have every conversation, if I had to be at every party, right? One of my favorite people online. I got to spend some time with her. I like to. I think of her as a friend. I think she thinks of me that way as well. Um, she wrote a book. She wrote two books actually. She's pretty cool. Amber, if you ever see this, I'm talking about you right now. But one of the things she talks about is she said if I show up at everyone's event, then when do I have time to show up for myself? Right? It's the idea, the concept, right? If she has a podcast, you could have it. I think right now it's titled "You Could Have Whatever You Want." But her concept of thinking the way she's all about right now. Her whole concept is about humaning well. It's about humaning well, right? Being another way of saying being the best version of yourself for everyone else. How do we human well in these spaces that we're in? She was a diversity and inclusion coach, and it turned into something much bigger about being just a better person and human all the way through. Also, look up the Humaning Well podcast. I'll give her a quick shout out too as we show. I gotta connect y'all too because I think she might live in the area.
Okay.
But in concept, some of the things that she talks about, like, hey, if I show up at every event, then when do I get time to show up for myself? I have to be okay if I don't go to this birthday party because I'm chasing the dream. I have to be okay if I don't go to this vacation because I got to be in a budget. In my season right now, it's about budget, right? I got to do this thing. And if I have friends who can honor that and understand that my priorities are clear and right now my priority, this habit, this spend, this thing does not align with that priority, I gotta divert from that plan right now. If I have friends that honor that, those are the best kinds of people to be around.
So good. So good. Okay. We're getting ready to close. I want you to, first of all, before I ask you this last question, tell everybody where they can find you and how they can work with you.
Okay, so I'm Greggy Amisial on all my socials. Okay, Amisial, Greggy, Greggy, Amisial. You can find me there. It will be linked under the posts and comments here. Activating You is my company. You can look for activatingyou.org. That's where we are right now. We do a 12-week cohort. It's pretty awesome. I wouldn't lie to you. Okay, believe me. No, we do a quick
Believe.
12-week cohort right now. That is the thing that we are the most excited about. We get a bunch of like-minded high performers, and we try to take them from knowing what to do to actually doing it. We want to help them build momentum, all right, towards the habits that they want to have so they could be the best version of themselves more consistently. If that sounds like something you want to do, check us out. Set up, DM me, send me a message, let me know. If you want to talk about it, I could send you some info. But I'd love to connect with people that way. We also do keynotes, workshops, things like that. So a couple different ways you could work with us today. And I plan on being in and around Tiffany a lot more this year. When you talk about finding your people, she's one of my people. We went to our cohort. We were instantly like, I see you over there. I see you over there. So we're going to stay connected this year. That's one of the things that we are committing to now. So you'll see me a couple more times in and around Tiffany's content and her on mine as well. So you'll have more opportunities to find me and connect.
Definitely, definitely. We found our misfit toys.
That's right. That's right. Island of the Misfits, we here.
I love it. Okay, to close, I want you to, as best you can, give our audience 3 steps, 3 tips to being the best in the world at what they're
Hmm,
passionate about.
okay. Um, I think Imma pause 'cause I wanna get this right, okay? I wanna do this right thing. What I've come up with, right, the way I look at it, me and my partner, Sandy at Activating, we look at the best version of yourself is sort of broken up into 4 pillars, right? Alright, so if you're really clear about your habits, right? Habits are really powerful. They form without you even knowing they form. But if you could leverage the power of habits, all of a sudden you give yourself a chance to design your life in the way that you want it to be. I think everyone needs to look at how they build momentum. Okay. So taking small steps successively over time allows you to build momentum. And momentum is one of the most powerful forces known to man. Okay. Activity is about being intentional. You're going to be doing stuff. So are you doing things that are intentional in how you do them? Right. And if you're clear on your what fuels the best version of you, right, then you can show up the best version of yourself more consistently. So what I said there was, all right, habits, fuel, momentum, activity. Those 4 things are the 4 pillars that build and allow you to show up as your best self. If you want to be the best in the world at something, the best version of you has to show up more consistently. So if you're not clear about those 4 pillars, then it's going to be really hard for you to be the best in the world at something. The next thing, what we said was here, it's looking at the main thing. LeBron James will say, keep the main thing, but it's looking at the main thing and opening up your aperture. If I like speaking, right? If public speaking is one of the things I love and I want to do it more, but my job doesn't allow me to do it, if I open up my aperture, I might find a spin class that lets me do it every Saturday. And I'm telling you, on some of those Saturdays, I feel like I'm the best in the world. When there's people beating down the door to get in my spin class, it's waitlisted 10 deep. I feel like I'm one of the best in the world. That feeling is one that I think more people should go after. And I think that's important. And I think the third thing, since you said 3, I gave you 2, 4 pillars, right? Then open up your aperture. The third one I would say is desire to be the best in the world at something. As I'm starting to mature, I'm starting to notice my desire to compete is dropping a little bit. So Tiffany, when you said, "Hey, I'm interested in getting back on stage," I love that. You know why? Because I think one of the things that we stop doing when we start to mature is we stop competing, right? We don't want to compete as much. It's a lot of energy to compete. If you have a desire to be the best at something, there's a different kind of fuel that comes with that. That fires you up in a different way, right? If you could hear how I'm talking about, I'm getting excited about it now, right? When I would go to a show and I would see somebody raise the bar from a step or raise the bar from a speech, oh, I can't wait till you get a load of what I'm about to do up there. That's a different feeling. Not fear, but fire that let me go on stage and want to be the best. Have a desire to be the best in the world at something, right? So that's my 3 right there. Have a
Love it.
desire to be the best in the world at something. The best dad to your kids in the world, you could do that, right? Whatever that is, have that desire. 2, be really clear on how the best version of you shows up. You do that through being clear on how you fuel that, your habits, building momentum, and being intentional in what you do. And then finally, look at the thing, keep the main thing, but open up your aperture. Find ways to get closer to that thing you love consistently to give you a chance to do that.
So solid. Greggy, my brother from another mother. Thank you
Girl,
so much.
let me tell you, I'm so glad you recorded this because that wasn't, I didn't practice that one. I didn't know that was coming, but I felt so good about that. Why? Because that's in me. It's so true.
Yes.
You brought that out of me today. I love what you're doing with your platform. I'm so excited that you asked me to be on here. I'm glad that we got it done now and we will have many more to come. This is a great thing that you're doing. I'm so inspired by your mission. I'm so inspired by your journey. And now that you told me you think about getting on stage, I'm about to bug you about that every
Oh Lord, here
time
we
we
go.
talk.
Look, I gotta be more tight-lipped with some things.
No, well, look, you let it out now. That's what happened. Now you in trouble. That's why I call myself the chief activation officer right there. That's why. So now we on it.
That's it.
I love that. We on it now.
Thank you so much. It's been such an honor having you here. I know you blessed a lot of people in the audience with everything that you have to offer. I told y'all he was motivation on legs, walking motivation. So I'm so grateful for you being here. Can't wait till we have another conversation again.
Yes,
And thank you
we got
for
to set up a
being,
live. I'm coming to DC. We're gonna
oh,
set it
yeah,
up live.
let's do it. Let's do it
Yeah, we're gonna
for
make it
sure.
happen.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being
Awesome.
um, great people to have a good talk with.
I love it.